What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the Collider Interview Studio at San Diego Comic-Con 2025. I am lucky enough to be sitting with the team behind Outlander, Blood of My Blood. Oh my, I have so many questions for all of you, so little time. I have to start with you, Meryl, because we were kind of chit-chatting about this earlier, but one of the things that impresses me most about what I've seen of your show thus far is, admittedly, I am not especially well-versed in Outlander. I have not watched the whole original series, and I was instantly hooked by what you created here. Can you tell me a little bit about doing both, having a show that appeases the hardcore fan base, but also serves as an on-ramp for newcomers like me?
First of all, how dare you not watch Outlander? But second,
it's a fair point, honestly.
Honestly, Matt Roberts, who's our showrunner, I think has done an amazing job crafting a show that's both, you can come in completely having not watched Outlander at all, but if you have watched Outlander, there's so many little Easter eggs that give you this excitement that you're in on a little secret. So, it's just going back to our roots and it's a prequel that works so well leading into the mothership, but stands on its own. And I think that's so important for a prequel to bring in new audiences. And so you do not have to have had watched the original.
One follow-up question, because I had read somewhere that Matthew originally pitched the idea to make a spin-off series, I think in something like season 5 of Outlander proper. And I love hearing about how ideas evolve. So do you remember what that initial pitch was and how much has that changed compared to the final show you wound up making?
Yeah, back in season 4 or 5, we were just talking about what could we do to expand this universe because we didn't know we'd be that lucky to get 8 seasons. And he was thinking about it and he was thinking, okay, obviously we know that Diana has left little crumbs about Jamie's parents, Ellen and Brian, but he felt like that was maybe could be slightly limiting and how to expand it. And he just thought, what about Claire's parents? Like Diana said they died in a car crash, but what if they didn't? And he came and he mentioned that to me and I was like, that is amazing because the idea that Claire's parents had gone back to the past and interacted with Jamie's parents and made potentially the road to Jamie and Claire happening that says everything about our shows, how love intertwines, how it's a cycle, how love begets love. It just, that completely kind of solidified that idea.
Love the idea of playing with crumbs too, because you still have a foundation to stand on, but the creative possibilities are also endless. That's such a cool combination. Harriet, Hermione, and Jamie, I have a question for you about being the parents in this situation. Kids obviously aren't carbon copies of their parents, but I was wondering, is there any particular quality of Sam and Catriona's performances that, I don't know, maybe you kind of held especially close and kind of connected the dots or planted the seeds in a way that we could start to feel the moment we meet you on screen in this show?
I think for me, personally speaking, it wasn't so much that I had watched Sam's performance or anything like that, but I have to, tip the hats off to the casting team because they've found, when they were looking for, the 4 of us, and then obviously all the other characters, little things, glints of these characters which everybody knows in us actors. So it was funny because we just released a little snippet of the bridge scene in episode 1. And I saw a lot of comments, people like saying, oh, I can see Jamie and Brian. And this never went through my head once. Like that's just me. That's just what I've been doing. So any sort of crossover is honestly just thanks to the casting team finding that.
Spot on. How about from your perspectives? Anything you leaned on or embraced?
Well, the thing is, I think you discover the essence of a character, and then obviously, if you're going off of someone else slightly, you're going to appreciate their performance and kind of find the core of their character first, and then develop yours from there. But I don't know that you ever want to mimic someone or try and emulate what they've done. So I think it's more finding the core of each character and finding their similarities, and then just going from there, really.
Yeah, no, again, I don't think I wasn't like aware of any mannerisms or anything that I was trying to emulate, but I think it's there in the character of Ellen. I think she has certain traits that show up in Jamie and also in Brianna as well. I think her fierceness and her strong will and her determination are all present and definitely got passed down.
Again, I did not watch the entire original series, but I'm familiar enough. And the fact that even with my light familiarity, I can feel it all the second your show starts is really an accomplishment. Sam and Seamus, I'm going to come your way now because I'm fascinated by your characters and how incredibly different they are from each other. So in the show, they both want to be Laird, and it was making me wonder how your answers to this question, I guess, might differ. Why do they want the title? And if they get the title, what do they most want to do with it?
I think it just gives them kind of justification, a purpose for their lives. They've trained their whole lives for this. They've thought, I'm certainly Colum as being the eldest son, that by birthright he would be the Laird of the clan. And so that has just always been his one goal. And it's also been to kind of gain his father's love and praise by emulating his father, I suppose, and proving that he's worthy of that ultimate prize, that crown. And I mean, no what better prize is there than being a laird of a clan and being the head of a society? You know, it's a huge honour for Colum.
Yeah, I think Dougal's driven by this transgenerational trauma passed down from his father, and then a necessity to prove himself, and that gives us this fantastic playing field of masculinity to that drives him, that he really wants to satisfy and feel respected by his father, even though he's not necessarily there. And it's an infinite battle that I don't think he will ever win.
I'll squeeze in one more question for the two of you. I like asking this pretty often, but in particular when two people are playing such completely different types of characters. Can you each tell me something about the other as a scene partner that maybe you appreciated, but also helped you find something in your own character that you wouldn't have been able to reach without him?
I think from the off, when I first met Sam at the final audition, something about him just really annoyed me. Doing scenes with him.
See, don't hold back. Yeah.
He just had this kind of, I said the other day, it's like talking to a brick wall, and he'll probably feel the same way. As Dougal, not as an actor, but just as nothing they say gets into each other's heads. And that is just so eternally frustrating. I think in scenes Sam is actually stepping on my toes to like muster up some anger in me, so we're just constantly at each other's throats.
Do you mean like
literally standing on my boots? Yeah,
but as characters or as people?
Kind of both.
Where'd you draw the line?
I mean, I was going to lie here, make something up and just be like, yeah, but no, now, okay, we're throwing fists.
We're doing it.
Seamus, wow. It's, do you know what? I think I put it all down to the writing, and I think it's entirely frustrating to read the words on the page, know where you want to get, but the pair of them never listen to each other. And it's fantastic to have Ned in those rooms, played by the wonderful Conor McNeil. He's this fantastic middle ground with these two characters who has this logic, but they don't even listen to him. And it's a really wonderful privilege to be in those rooms and really butt heads like these stags that they are. Seamus.
The only reason I'm happy Comic-Con is coming to a close soon is because I get to rush home, watch more of your screeners, and see how all this develops. I'm so pumped. Rory, I'm going to come your way now. And this question was kind of inspired by one of, I think, your very first scenes in the show. So at the beginning, Murtaugh's far more into the idea of finding a partner than his cousin. And that was making me wonder, especially because Brian jokingly even says to him, like, finding someone is basically going to solve all my troubles, right? So I wanted to know, what do you think he deep down wants most in a partner? How do you think that's going to make his world whole? How does he think it's going to make his world whole?
Great question. Well, currently the only person I seem to hang out with is Brian, which you know, he's lovely, but I think there's more to life.
Is there though? Really?
Well,
building walls and
I think he thinks he would finally be seen. Because he's kind of not quite part of the Fraser clan. He's sort of a little bit of an outsider. And I think to kind of have his moment in the limelight would be being looked at by someone who loves him and feeling like, you know, he was in the right place at the right time, finally, instead of kind of the sidekick or like the kind of fun friend Like he would get to be the main character in his own life. That's kind of like the romance that he's hoping for. Doesn't necessarily get it, but
Hey, you're my main character, man.
thanks, brother.
That's bromance.
I'm still looking though.
Okay, yeah, it's
but
fine.
thank you.
I do love hearing an answer like that and feeling like truly just watching your performance. Like I could feel you carrying all of that, but without actually saying it. So job very well done in that respect. Again, at this point, I have watched episode 1. I really did want to touch on one particular scene with you, Harriet and Jamie. It's your first encounter, and I apologize because I feel like I'm phrasing this question like, how do you do this? But the first time you meet, the two of you can't fully see each other. But in that moment, and again, as someone who is not tethered to this franchise, I immediately see that something very important is happening and I can feel the weight of what is starting. How do you strike that kind of chemistry? And I just want to emphasize, because I love that scene, I also do think how that scene is photographed is incredibly effective as well.
Yeah, well, I was going to say, I think that, like the cinematography of it and the writing of it, there's so much of what you were saying in that. I think the staging of it, the fact that we see each other through a tiny slat in a wall is so romantic. And then when they like come out from behind the wall and see each other fully for the first time, it was written in the script, I think in the stage directions, as like a thunderclap moment when two people are just fated to be together. It's love at first sight, basically. So that was really, really fun to play.
That's literally the question, though. How do you play love at first sight? It's such a hard thing to do, and I think you do it so well.
You just stare at each other for a very long time, an awkwardly long time, and it makes it look good. But no, I think in terms of the story, though, like neither of these characters are expecting anything at that moment. So when Brian sits down and he hears a quip from behind the wall, automatically like catches his attention, and likewise for Ellen. And neither are they expected it. And then there's, when you meet someone, there's that magnetism, just it draws you to certain people. I think both of them experience that in that moment, and it just kind of goes from there.
But can I just say also they're downplaying the fact that these are two tremendous actors. Everyone on here, except for myself, are amazing actors in their own right and brings each of these characters alive.
Based on what I've seen thus far, I second that big time. I got to wind down with all of you. I'm going to try to end with a quick group question. It's not quick. My question's going to be really long, but I think making shows is very hard, but I also love hearing about the moments of joy that artists experience on set when they're doing the hard work and working together. Can each of you tell me the moment or the day of making season 1 of this show that brought you the most joy as an artist?
I've got an answer, guys. Me and Harriet had a scene when we were outside filming in Castle Leoch's grounds, and it was like a tracking shot. I don't know what episode is it in. Is it 1?
Yeah, I know exactly what you're
And we're walking through, it's the clan gathering, and there's about 150 essays. And it just, filming outside was such a nice break from being in the studio, which can be quite stuffy as well as being amazing. But it was just me and Harriet were just kind of felt so free, and you kind of suddenly see the immense scale of the show and of the world. And it just was like, wow, I've traveled back in time.
I would totally second that. I think Rory and I had a moment of, standing outside of one of the castles, and we just said to each other, looking at all these amazing props, amazing costumes, all these essays from guys who literally look like they are from the 1700s. I don't know where they find them, by the way. Honestly, it's crazy.
Yeah, when they pull out their mobile phones, you're like, what the hell? How did you do that?
And we just looked at each other and said to each other, like, look at us, like, look at what we're doing, And it was very, very fulfilling.
I like the kitchen set. That was pretty amazing. Walking into Castle Leather's kitchen set was pretty special. The detail and the thought that's gone into absolutely everything is just mind-blowing, and you're immediately transported. That was a really joyful moment. There's like steam coming out of things and fire. It was just amazing.
Who wants to jump in next?
Dougal's character introduction was an immense amount of fun to film, so much so that we shot it 3 times, I think. And it was great because it was genuinely my favourite day on a film set ever. And to then go back and be with all the stunties and just get to throw people around a forest was immense fun. And it just brought me so much, my inner child, so much joy. Just go around punching people. It's great.
Anyone want to take us home?
Like mine is genuinely the same as Seamus's. That was such an amazing day. I remember it so clearly. It was I think it was the third week. We'd spent the first couple of weeks in the studio, and it was just incredible to be outside on a set of that scale with that many essays. And it was so immersive. There were fires and the smells, and when you couldn't see the cameras, it was like you had genuinely traveled back to the 1700s. Any of the sets on location, I think you get so much for free. There's so much acting that you don't even have to do because you're really there. And get massively upstaged by the landscape.
Yeah.
Which is just
Horses.
stunning.
We do say Scotland is number one on the call sheet. So, but I will just say anytime all of them are on set together, I think is the most fun, just because truly when you're casting a show, you cannot anticipate how their chemistry will be. I mean, you do chemistry reads, but you just hope everyone gets along and they're good people. And truly this cast is already, you can just see it here. They're just genuinely incredibly comfortable with each other and such an amazing group together. So it's been really special.
I feel it big time. I gotta let you go. You got a lot more promoting to do, but I'm excited at least we get to talk more soon after I've binged every single episode I have. I'm going to say huge congratulations on season 1 of Outlander, Blood of My Blood. And thank you so much for being here and talking with us today.
Thank you so much.